my name is Brooke Fitzwater. I recently got my PhD in biology, and I'm probably best known for my oceanfilly, SciComm, science outreach platforms, mostly across TikTok and Instagram, where I do short form videos that I also upload to Twitter and Blue Sky. And recently I've been doing a lot more long form content videos on YouTube. So some of them are talking about science related topics, or in other ones I have been playing games that people have requested that have something to do with biology or marine biology. So that way I can kind of get people into thinking about biology in a way that might be more digestible. You're getting to watch me play a game, and I'm also getting to sneak science content in there. I was also really excited and honored to be invited as a panelist speaker for SICB, or Society for Integrative and Comparative Biology's upcoming Public Affairs Committee at the upcoming Portland 2026 meeting. And in an effort to prepare for that panel, but also because people have asked me about this for so long, and I want to be able to provide resources for other scientists to be able to do some of the long form content that I have been creating, I am creating an entire video where I'm going to be showing you all kind of the bare basics of how to edit videos together. I'm going to be using the program Premiere Pro because that's the program that I'm really used to. You may also have access to it for free through your university. Some of these can be applied to other video programming softwares. There's different ones out there like DaVinci, for example, but again, I'm used to Premiere Pro, so that's what we're going to use today. And I'm just going to show you kind of the bare basics of how to get started. And so you might be interested in creating videos because, like me, you go into the field, and when you go into the field, you want to capture some of the field work that you've been doing or some of the different ecosystems that you're observing. And so that might be something that you're really interested in showing to people who are not scientists, or you might be interested in creating videos like I have created in the past that are talking maybe about your study system or talking about weird animals or something that's just science outreach in general. Or there's so many different things that you could do. You could even make gaming videos like me. So many different types of videos that you might be interested in creating and sharing with the general public. So I moved myself to this bottom corner because I was trying to figure out what is the best way for you all to see where we're trying to go in here. And most of the things that we're going to need are going to be up in these areas. So I wanted you all to be able to see me. When you're getting started on a new project in Premiere Pro, you'll go to New Project. You can name the project. So I'm just going to call this SciComm video, name it whatever you want. When it gives you this page, you can skip it. This is what it looks like to work inside of your project in Premiere Pro. It looks really overwhelming, I know, but we're going to walk through everything. That way you know what's going on. And this is by no means a definitive end-all be-all video. There are many different ways to achieve the same thing in Premiere Pro. If there's something that I don't cover that you're really interested in, you can just look it up on YouTube. Everything that I have learned is from YouTube to do this, and I've been doing this for a couple of years. And so there are many, many, many videos showing you how to do anything that you would like to do. But this, I just wanted to create as like a scientific perspective of like someone who's a scientist and is going into this thinking of how can I make these scientific themed videos. So I can kind of talk to you all from that perspective. You have your different windows here. This is your timeline. It says no sequences on it because we haven't added anything to it. This is going to be your finalized video. Anything that you have here will show up in the finalized product. So be careful what you put on here. Here, this is where you're going to be able to preview what you're putting on here. We have nothing right now, so it's blank. Up here, there are different types of effect controls, and we're going to get to some of those in a minute. And then down in this corner, you have an area where you can import your media. You can either press this button or you can do the way that I do it. Here, I already have a folder that has everything that I wanted to use for this video. So you can create a folder in advance with everything that you want. I'm going to click on this one first, and I'm going to drag and drop it here. Now, obviously, I am on a PC. It might be a little bit different from Mac, but a lot of the techniques that I will teach you today apply on Macs as well. So here I have my first clip. Now, if I drag and drop it over here, it's taking the audio with me. And that's not always a good idea. Exhibit A, really loud, and also I don't want that audio. The little kid was really cute and was really enjoying looking at this fish, but I don't want that audio in my video. So what you can do, and I've generated a sequence, but we'll talk about that in a sec, is you can go to source, and I grab this and drag it up here. You see that it has this little video, like it looks like a cell for film, and then it has a little audio part. You can drag just the video if you want and pull it down. And so now if I play it, there's no audio, which is exactly what I wanted. You can also, let's say, oof, you can hear it. Let's say that I only wanted a section of this clip. So I only want it from here to like maybe here. So I'm going to start with this. So I marked in, and then I'm going to drag it. Sorry, it's a little bit loud. And let's say I want it to right here. Now I've clipped it, and I can just take, drag and drop here, for example. You can also, on here, you see that there's these red arrows. I can do this, or I can drag to where I want. Or let's say that I like 2 parts of this video, and I'm going to delete this clip. If you delete it, you just press delete. Let's say that there's 2 parts of this clip that I want. So I like from here to right before there's the wall. You can take this razor tool, cut here, and then I'm interested in going to this part, to this part. I can delete this section, and then you see that there's this white that's highlighted. If I right click on it, it will ripple delete. When I ripple delete, what that does is it makes it so that way it closes the space in between those, so you don't have to drag them. You can drag the clips, but it gets annoying if you have a bunch of clips and you want to drag them. Now let's say that you're editing these and you decide that instead you want to pull a clip to the front. What I'll do is I will grab and hold onto this, and if I'm on a PC, you'll press and hold Control, and then you see it has these lines. So let's say that I want to put it right here. It will insert it right there instead of me trying to do it and overwrite any of the video clips that I have here. A little bit advanced for me to jump right into, but those are just some of like the clipping techniques. Then I have generated a sequence because I placed a clip on the timeline in the first place. I generated the sequence. The sequence has different settings. So if I go to the sequence settings, it will tell me that the time base is 23.976 frames per second, which is like 24 FPS. And it's telling me that the frame size is 1920 by 1080. So if you've heard 1080p, that's what this is referring to. You will very likely not be working with 4K videos, but you might be. But those are very, very consuming of lots of space. So most of the time I would recommend just working on 1080 unless you really need 4K. If you're doing like advanced things, you might want 4K, but this is pretty standard to have high definition. Now, there are older cameras that might only have 720p, and so it would put that, but sometimes if you try to import it into a setting that already has these, it's going to give you a message of like, hey, this is different than the sequence settings, and so it will try to kind of fit it in as best as possible. There's another issue that might come up where you might have framed in different frames per second. So it's called FPS for short. And so the typical frames per second that you'll see are 24 FPS. Most movies that you might go to the movie theater to watch or TV shows that you would go to see are filmed in 24 frames per second. Sometimes you'll have this weird in between that's 30 frames per second that some things might be filmed on. And then you might also have 60 frames per second. So you might have heard of 60 frames per second being common in video games, for example, but it can also be useful for doing anything where you need to slow things down. So if you want to do slow motion, then you should film it in 60 FPS, or you can even film it in 120 FPS. But normally I recommend filming in 24 FPS because that is what your eye sees naturally and it will give you that movie-like look. So those are all of our sequence settings. And so if I was to input something on here that was not 24 frames per second, it's going to let me know, hey, this doesn't follow the sequence settings. Are you okay with that? And you'll be like, yeah. You can use any kinds of videos. When you're generating your science outreach videos, you might be using footage that you filmed on your phone, which is totally okay. Phones now can create really incredible footage. You might be filming on a GoPro, you might be filming on a DSLR. So a DSLR would be a camera like this. So I currently have the Canon 5D Mark IV, but I previously had a Canon 60D. You will see footage from that Canon 60D in this video. And different cameras can do different things. This video here was filmed on my Canon 5D Mark IV in 24 frames per second. And so here you can see the video of this clownfish. I've already got this on my timeline sequence. So remember, if I wanted to trim it down, maybe I only want to include right to here. And so you can see that I can drag this to see everything. And here I'm previewing it. I can do this because I just want to keep only that part of the clip. So I'll just do that. And then if I wanted to watch it, I could do this. Make sure for your playback resolution, you want full. Sometimes people do it at different ones. You want to see it at full. And then you want high quality playback, because if not, it's going to look weird and it won't look like what you need. And the colors might look really weird and you might be like, why is it looking like this? Just make sure that you have the settings that are displayed here. You want the highest quality feedback as possible. I would also recommend that you probably would want to work on Premiere Pro on a beefier computer. I have a Dell XPS 16, and so it can handle this sort of work. And I previously had a gaming computer that I didn't actually use for gaming, but I had a gaming computer so I could do things like Premiere Pro. All right, so I have these two clips, well, not two, it's a sequence. So this is your sequence. See that it has sequence right here and it has kind of like a timeline, and then this has what looks like film and then the audio. We have those already on the docket. Let's say that I wanted to add another video. I'm going to include one from a GoPro that I filmed 2 summers ago. Not this past summer, but the summer before in Belize. And I'm going to put it up here. So this shows some tarpon in Belize. And so I only want part of this clip. So again, I'm going to snag that. And then I'm going to snag until here. Drag this down. Now here you can see it's really shaky. And I have shaky hands, and there was also waves and a slight current. This is really shaky, and I don't want it to be really shaky. So there are different effects that you can use to help reduce this. And so the one that I use is called Warp Stabilizer. If you go to the Effects tab right up here, I'm going to type in Warp Stabilizer. And Warp Stabilizer will come up. I'm going to take and drag it and put it over top of my clip. Currently, it says it's analyzing in the background. It might take a little bit, and here you saw that it was red and now it's yellow. Anytime that it's yellow, that means that the sequence is going to have to be rendered because you've done something to it. We'll get to that later. Now I just put the Warp Stabilizer on, and if you just do it automatically, it's going to do it at 50% smoothness, which is a lot. So to show you what the clip looks like, it looks really wonky, right? It's like the background is kind of moving and it looks really weird. What I usually do is I go in and I press 1. So it's stabilizing. And here, it doesn't look wonky anymore and it looks really, really smooth. Like you wouldn't be able to tell that it was as shaky as it was prior. So this is a really good outcome. There are certain videos that are so shaky that even if you add warp stabilizer, it's still not going to look good. It's not an end-all be-all, and sometimes there is going to be a little bit of wonkiness. But sometimes in the case of this, it looks really good. So remember, for comparison, I'm just going to put it back down to 0. So this is what it looked like without it. Really shaky. Put it back up to 1. And now it looks really smooth, really clean. Now there are different ones. There's smooth motion and no motion. In this case, no motion is not going to work because there's motion, so it looks ridiculous. However, there are certain cases in which you might have a video where you're just standing there, or like you have something that has a pretty solid background and there's not as much movement, that the no motion can make it where it looks like there is no motion and you're just like staring at the same thing, and it makes it really stable. That is not always going to be the case, particularly for videos that are like this, because it would make sense that you don't want a no motion for this anyway, because we want smooth motion because things are moving. This clip is also a little bit shaky, and so I could do the same thing where I could place the warp stabilizer over top of it. And then I'm going to scroll down. You can do it while it's still analyzing and just tell it to do 1. It takes a minute because it has to generate it. And this looks immensely better than it did before. So that's how you use warp stabilizer. Warp stabilizer will probably become your best friend. So let's go over a little bit what each of these different tabs mean on this panel. I don't usually use the text tab, but if you need to use it, it's there. We have the audio clip mixer. There's no audio right now, so I can't really do anything with that because I turned the audio on mute so it didn't jump scare us. The source we've already gone over. The source is where you can put your clip in, and then you can either pull out just the video, just the audio, or you can clip it so that way it's smaller and then pull both of those in together. Lumetri scopes is a little bit more advanced, and so this will kind of show you colors and light, but you may not have to worry about that. And if you want to worry about it, you can look it up. Effect controls only work if you're clicking on the thing that has the effect. Make sure that you're selecting the exact clip that you want to look at. So sometimes I'll be editing over on this clip, and then I'll forget to switch over to this clip because I see it here, but I haven't clicked it. If I start trying to mess with anything that's on this clip, it will start doing it on this clip, which is not what I want. So I have clicked over here, and let's say that I want to zoom it in by 200. So you'll press scale, and then you'll zoom it in. And then here, I only see the fish's tail, which is not ideal, right? I don't want to see the caudal fin. I want to see the whole fish. So let's make it go more towards the left. That one's a little bit far, but it might work in this case. And then I'm going to make it go up a little bit higher. So this is the one that will position it upwards. So I'm going to do 800, maybe a little bit taller, 950. And then this, let's move it over to about 1700. And so now we have it zoomed in on the fish a little bit more. Sometimes what happens is, as you saw, it kind of had a delay a little bit, but it will work itself out. Make sure that you're frequently saving, because if you're not saving, sometimes it will crash and you will lose everything, which sucks. You can also change the opacity, which we've looked at, but you can do it at like 50%. Now in this case, that doesn't really give us a whole lot. It just makes it darker, which is not really something that we want, but you might want it for something. So now I have another clip that I'm going to drag up here, and I'll pull it down here. So this is a giant Pacific octopus that I recorded at the Tennessee Aquarium. It's a little bit shaky, so we'll definitely have to put some warp stabilizer on it, but it's also pretty dark, right? So I'm going to stop it here. Remember, you can use your razor blade tool to cut. and I'm going to delete. And this video itself is a little bit dark, as I mentioned. So after we apply this warp stabilizer, and if I'm here in the source and I'm like, oh no, I can't go and figure out where I'm supposed to do something with the warp stabilizer, just go to the effects part. And then I'm going to do 1. And it makes that so much smoother, and it looks like a beautiful quality. But again, as I mentioned, it's a bit dark. So if we go over here, obviously we're not using essential sound right now because there's no sound. If you go to Lumetri Color, there are several different tabs. So for example, we have the basic correction. And so I might want to kind of pull up the shadows a little bit. And so that will make it where it's a little bit brighter. But you have to be very cautious here because as you pull up those shadows, you're going to see more grain. And maybe I want to like bump the contrast. Maybe pull down the blacks. And that's already starting to look a lot better, give you a lot more color. I'm not going to show you all how to do color grading. Color grading is its own beast, and there's a lot going on. You can use different LUTs. So LUT is basically like a filter that goes over your video, like in Lightroom. But you have to buy those most of the time. You can go into the curves and you can adjust the curves. It's acting a little bit slow right now, but you'll press on this. And so most of the time you want to do it in an S. I don't know why I did that. So you see that it's kind of an S shape. And it changed the color, but some of these colors I'm not thrilled with, but I'm showing you kind of the bare bones. I don't want to see that anymore, so if I check it, then I'll either see it or not. But again, I'm not going to teach you all how to do color grading because that is its whole other thing. It can be very, very complicated. But yeah, there's a lot of these different wheels if you wanted to play with this, where you can change the colors of like the shadows and such, but I don't want to do that. So if you need to undo anything, you just go up here and undo. One of the things that I definitely recommend that you do, and that it's normally recommended that you do, is you might go to each video, especially if they're very different like these are. They're filmed under very different lighting situations. Sometimes Premiere Pro is a little bit slow, but they're filmed under very different lighting conditions. And so if you apply the exact same edits to all of these, it might look a little bit weird, but usually there is like an overall color grading that you might want to do. And so if you're wanting to have like one overall color grade, which is what a lot of people will do, you're going to click on the one that is your sequence. Click on the sequence clip, then you'll go over to File, New, Adjustment Layer. It's going to be the exact same dimensions as all of this, as your sequence. And you can grab it, it's just going to be black, and you grab it and you pull it. And so let's say I wanted to add contrast to all of them as part of my adjustment layer. So that contrast is applied to all of these. So just to kind of show you, here it is without the adjustment layer, with the adjustment layer. It's subtle because I didn't do much, although that looks pretty good actually. But I'm gonna just bump it up just so you can see a huge difference here. So no adjustment layer, right? And then it's over top of this. But I don't want that right now. Now let's say that you want to change the timing of a clip. You either want to speed it up or slow it down. Now let's say that you want to adjust the timing of a clip. Maybe you want to speed it up, maybe you want to slow it down. I have this clip that I filmed in Chile, and it's a sunset. Oh, don't just drag it on here. I'm used to just dragging the audio on as well, because recently I've been editing the gaming videos where I do want to have the audio, but for all of these, I don't want the audio. I am going to drag it onto here, and it is a 3-minute and 4-second video. So at its regular speed, it looks like this. But I want to speed it up so that way you can see the progress of the sun going down, or of the sunset. And so I'm going to right-click on the clip, and you'll scroll down here where it says speed duration. Right now it's at 100%. If I wanted to make it where it was slower, then I would do 50%, but we don't want to do that. We want to speed it up. So let's say that I speed it up by 200%. That just cuts the time in half, so now it would be like 1.5 minutes instead of 3 minutes. And so you can see it's a little bit faster, but it's not really exciting yet, right? So you can play around with this. Let's say that I do it at 600. Okay, and here you can see that it's going a little bit faster, but still not quite what I would like. So you can just keep playing around with it until it's something that you like. And here, this looks a lot more like a time lapse where you can see the clouds are changing and the sun and the colors are changing. So unfortunately, the only video that I have on hand to show you all how to do slow motion is one of me in a cosplay. This is Shin Hati from the Ahsoka series, which is a Star Wars property. So here, this is filmed in 60 FPS, which is, you can probably see that it looks a little bit less smooth to the eye than maybe something else like this does. And so in this case, I want to slow it down to give that slow motion effect. So we're going to go right back to speed and duration, and I'm going to do 50%. And so it will now look like it's in slow motion, which looks really cool. If I slow it down any more, it's going to start looking a little bit wonky because you have to kind of slow things down based on the frames per second. And so it's usually best to just do it by half each time. And so if you want it to be really slow, then you need to film it in like 120 frames per second, for example. But this was filmed in not in 160. This was filmed in 60 FPS. And so as you can see, it looks a little less clean at 25% versus at 50%. It's much, much cleaner and much smoother. It feels like it looks very natural, right? And so if I had filmed this in 120 frames per second, then it would have looked even more slow motion, but I can't quite go down to 25% for this or make it any slower. So you have to kind of play around, and usually I don't recommend going any more than 50% slower when you're doing something that is any kind of slowdown. So going slower from 120 FPS or from from 60 FPS. Now let's say that you want to add text to your video. Maybe you want to put the name of the researcher who is speaking in the frame, or maybe you want to give more people information about facts about the organism that you're showing, or you want to tell them where it is. There is a text tool that I just selected, and so it's right here. You press the T button, and then I dragged and made a box where I wanted to put my text, and so I'm just going to put simple text here, and so it's coral reef in Belize. Simple text. Now you see that it disappeared. That's because the text is too large for the box that I made. I'm going to highlight this, and then you go over, keep scrolling. You'll scroll over until you get to properties, and you see that it says font size. Now I didn't have everything highlighted, so sometimes you might have to go back and re-highlight, but let's say that I want that. But I don't like the font of this text. There's plenty of different fonts, and then you can download fonts if you have Creative Cloud, but you can choose which ones you want. I don't like that text, but somebody else might. That might be a better text. I have recently been using Utopia a lot, which is one that you can download. And there's different kinds, so maybe I want it to be in italics, or maybe I want it to be bold, for example, so that way we can see it. The other thing that you can do is you can add what's called a stroke. If you go to the stroke here, right now it's white, so it just looks unreadable. But if I go in and I put it as black, now it highlights it and pulls the text out, and it's much easier to see. And I can drag this text like this, so that way you can see more of that text over the entire video. So as we can see here, right now we have a 44-second clip that we have generated. And we have some text in here. We have some that have been slowed down, some that have been sped up, whatever you want to put. All of this is in your timeline. If you want to see your timeline bigger for any reason, you can double click on the side and then it will make it larger so you can see it. Here you see that we have V1, this is like your video 1. You can put other clips over top, so I'm not going to do that. Let's go to my source. I'll just grab from here. Let's say that you wanted to put one over top. It might be easier if you just do that versus trying to shove it into that frame. So you might want to do that, or some people might want to do overlays. This is not going to look very good, but just to give you an idea, I have this clip over top of this one. And so I can change the opacity if I wanted to. And let's say that I make it 50%, or let's say that I want to make it 25%. You can see here that these two clips are overlaid. Now, we probably don't want to make this as an actual clip, but you can do really cool effects with this. That's not the coolest. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but it's just to kind of show you. But you can overlay things together. Now for audio, if you want to pick audio, like music in the background of your video, there are many different options. Some are free, some are not. If you are looking for free options, one of the best ways to do this is by going to the YouTube music video library. And so ignore all of the tabs that I have. I have created a version that does not have all of those. So if you come to your YouTube studio, so you're going to go to from your channel, for example, or like your new account. Let's go back to the channel. So this is my channel. I'm going to go here and then go to YouTube Studio. So I clicked on my little profile and then I'm pressing YouTube Studio. And from YouTube Studio, we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to Creator Music Beta. And from Creator Music Beta, mine is going to look a little bit different than yours if you're just starting with YouTube, because I am in the Creator Fund and so you get access to other things. But we're going to go here to free and you will have immediate access to free music. And so you can look up things based on like genre, moods. Let's say that you wanted to have ambient music in the background, or you wanted to have lo-fi music in the background. So you can look for lo-fi. Now, for most of your videos, if you want them to be free, then you would probably want to apply for free. And so all of these are $0. If I wanted to use this one, which I've used before, I'm going to go to it. And so it will tell you what the license is. So for this specific audio track, it says that you can use this audio track in any of your videos, including videos that you monetize. No attribution is required. YouTube may credit the artist and link the audio library from your video. You have to make sure that you're following all of these rules. So here it's saying that you can't make it available, distribute it to any other platform that's not YouTube. So you need to do these for YouTube. But you can download these. So this would be the download button. I tend to save things that I really like. And so you would download it. And once it's on your computer, I have a specific folder on mine that has all of the different audios that I want. And so while it's loading a little bit, we'll scroll down. I have it in here. I'll cut this one. I have a bunch of audio here. So let's say that I want to grab this one and I'll throw it in here. You can take this audio track and just drag and drop here. Now the audio track, ooh, I love that I just jumped myself with it. The audio track is much, much longer than my actual video. And so it's double the size. So I'm going to go in and I can just cut it off. It's a little bit loud right now, so I'm actually going to go in and turn it down. If you want to like either turn it down or turn it up, you can do that. I'm going to put it on mute so it doesn't scare us, but as you're going and scrolling through this, you're going to be able to hear your audio as you're like thumbing through it, but I just turn it on mute so it's not scaring me and I'm not jumping anymore. There are also ways to fade out the sound. If you want to fade out the audio, for example, you can go to audio transitions and they have different fades. So you might want to give like an exponential fade so that way it kind of trims the audio out. That way you're not just cutting it off completely and making it feel a bit jarring. Again, there's lots of videos. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because this is just supposed to kind of get you on board. And if you're curious about more, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that you can look up of people showing you all the kinds of techniques that you might want to use. But I highly recommend doing some kind of fade for your music so that way it doesn't just cut off in a weird place. But especially if you're talking, you want to make sure that your audio is pulled down a lot so that way it blends in with how you're talking. For other music that you might want to use, if you want to be able to pay for the music or there's a specific track that you want, you could look at MusicBed, for example. Sometimes SoundCloud artists will allow you to use their music for free, but you just have to make sure that you're using those properly. You can also look into the work of Scott Buckley. He has a CC music library that you can use, and there's tons of different genres. He has all kinds of different genres that you can use, and you just have to credit him, and they're completely free, as it says here. Once you are finished editing your video, notice that everything here is yellow. That means that it needs to be rendered. So what you'll do is you're going to go up to Sequence, and then you're going to render into out. See that it says rendering 2 of 6 video previews. It's rendering all the different frames and it will give you an estimated time remaining. If you're rendering a really large video, it's going to take a long time. So sometimes when I do like my game stream videos, that could be 2 hours, it's going to take a really long time. Once it's done, it will start playing. So if you have audio on your video, just note that as soon as it's finished rendering, it's going to play. So if you have a really long video or like a really large file size and it's rendering in the background, it's going to jump scare you at some point. So just know that, especially if you're on a Zoom call at the same time. Once you have finished rendering everything, what you can do is you're going to go here to File and Export Media. When you're ready to export the media, so that way you can put it onto your computer and then upload it wherever you want, you can rename it. So SciComm video, and you can select the location where you want the video to appear after it is finished processing. And then I open this tab here, and you're going to press Match Source. Press this button as well and go down. You're going to render at maximum depth. Use maximum render quality. Don't do this because it will only render your audio and then your video will not come out as a regular video. You don't want that. Leave this. Hardware encoding is going to be faster. Software encoding takes longer. And then there's different file sizes as well for each of these. I recommend using the hardware encoding because it will be faster, but if for some reason your computer won't export it, you might have to switch to software encoding. If you're doing hardware encoding, what I recommend doing is you'll go to High, scroll down to 5, And then when you come down here, do VBR 1 pass. And the VBR 1 pass, pull it up to 30 or approximately 30, that's fine. And then audio, you can go and you don't have to do as much. You just want to make sure that everything's kind of set up the way that it's supposed to. And then once you're ready, then you will press export. And so it will export it immediately with the current settings. So once you press export, sometimes it takes a little bit because it's got to get itself situated. And so right now it's encoding. It will tell you how long. This is a really short clip, so it didn't take that long, but sometimes it will take you like 20 minutes. And then sometimes what happens, especially if you have a large file, is at the very end, it will get stuck at like 99% or 100% and say that it's done, but then it just stays there for a long period of time. If that happens, you just need to let it sit there because it's trying to process. But if you have issues, what you can do is you can go to export media, and then instead of doing the hardware encoding, you can do the software encoding. One thing that I forgot to talk about is that you can add images. So if you want to add an image, like I have a title card for my YouTube videos, it just puts it in here as an image, and then you can adjust how long you want that image to be. Notice that everything here is green because it's been rendered. Here it's yellow, this has not been rendered yet. So sometimes you might see if you rendered a bunch of other things, or if you didn't do anything to the clip, sometimes it will just all be green, versus anything that needs to be rendered is going to be yellow. And if it's red, it also needs to be rendered. And I'm going to put this in here, over here. Now you see when I put this image down, it's really, really zoomed in from the original. So what I will do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to do fit to frame. But if I fit it to the frame, you see that there's black bars because this image was not taken in the same dimensions as what I'm using. And so in that case, it might be better if I fill the frame. So it zooms it in a little bit. If there was details up in these corners, I might lose them. But in this case, this still gets across the same point that I was trying to get of just like showing this fish, right? And so if you wanted to show clips, you might be able to do that. And then again, remember, you can press on this T type tool and you can type in whatever information that you want. And so I'm typing here that clownfish live in a symbiotic relationship with anemones. And then I have this here. Let's say that I want to have more than one text. So I have that here. So I say that clownfish live in a symbiotic relationship with anemones. And then as soon as this clip is done, I might add another one. And so I might put clownfish get a home out of the anemone and have a special mucus coat to protect them from anemone stings. And so if I was to watch the clip, let's say that we had music on in the background, you have this where you can read it and then it gives you more text. And so photographs can be really useful in these, so you can put together different strings of photographs if you want, or like you can be talking over this. So if you wanted to add a recording of yourself, you can press on this button and it will give you a recording over top of the video. I would show you all, but I think the problem is it probably won't do it, but we can try. So if I press on this, it's going to give me a countdown, and then I'm recording, which you can unfortunately hear as a delay. But anyway, you all got to see it. So let's see. And then I'm recording, which you can unfortunately hear as a delay. So there you go. You can also have it set up where you don't hear yourself saying it, but you can do voiceover recordings and you can silence yourself so you don't have to hear the feedback. But then you can narrate over anything that you need to, especially if you were not able to record in the field or in the element that you were trying to record in. Like let's say that you are trying to show the type of research that you do in your laboratory and you didn't record while you were filming it, and so instead you just film it later on using the voiceover tool. That's totally fine. So remember that you can play, watch your video over. I always recommend that you kind of check it, make sure that everything looks like what it's supposed to, and it will go along your timeline here. If you want to see this larger, you just double click on it and you can see the quality a lot higher, and then just double click on it again and it folds down. And there's our video. Hopefully this will be an easy way to help you figure out how you can navigate Premiere Pro. Again, this is the basics, so I'm not teaching you everything, but hopefully it will be just enough to kind of get you off the ground and help you start making videos of your own. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. And again, if there's something that I didn't cover, YouTube certainly has it, so you can search for anything that you want to do, more advanced techniques, color grading, all of it. I hope that this was helpful to you, and I can't wait to see the videos that you all create.